you sort of learn to relive your life all over again. My first cup of coffee, the first time I pick up a guitar.
The guys were like, this is your only way to successfully lift this off of you. How are you gonna be all right if you don't do the thing that makes you all right?
As artists and creatives, most of us will have that experience of working on a project and recognizing that some background emotion is being processed and brought to our attention through that work. Asking to stay long enough for the clouds to fly me away. This ability to access new truths and places of understanding is something that we can be grateful for. And although we want to be aware of leaning into problematic myths around the tortured artist, it is sometimes this work that comes out of the harder experiences in our lives that ends up supporting and really connecting with an audience. When looking at Grohl and Josh Homme, we see two artists who feel free to imbue their records with experiences of those tougher times.
This is my religion. I need it to be real so I can do it. I want to love it because it's really honest and it's who I really am when it comes to the words.
Both these artists also speak about using their creative practice as a form of therapy or somewhere where they can process those emotions. Later we're going to talk about how trauma or pain can sometimes build resistance around engaging with our creative practice.
You know, when Kurt passed away, nobody could imagine playing music ever again, really. You know, it was difficult to listen to music.
And how we can look to overcome these blockers in our work.
When you feel not so great and you just pick up an acoustic guitar and you're sitting on the edge of your bed and it's so like the weight lifts off your shoulders, you know?
Remember, if you get to the end of this video and would still be interested in some further discussion of the topics, there's an extended audio version with added notes and further readings over on the Creative Minds Patreon now. And with that said, let's jump straight into the story and autobiography that got this whole project started off in the first place.
Kurt Cobain's music moved a generation of young people.
His voice and his words spoke to their fears and frustrations, but many of the older generation just don't get it. They don't understand why so many people are so moved by Cobain's sudden death.
Dave Grohl is an artist who's been through more trauma and grief around their work and passion than anybody should.
You know, I remember waking up the day after Kurt died and thinking, okay, he's gone, but I'm still here? Like, that just doesn't seem fair, you know? And like, you sort of learn to relive your life all over again.
In his book, Storyteller, he discusses his relationship with music and the artistic process after the loss of Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain. You cannot predict a person's sudden passing, Grohl writes, but there are certain people in life that you prepare to lose for whatever reason. You foolishly try to protect yourself by building a wall around your heart as a sort of preemptive defense mechanism so that when you get that call, you are prepared somehow. Like being emotionally vaccinated, you've already built up an immunity to their inevitable passing. This was a powerful sentiment to read from Grohl, and it reminds us of the walls and defense mechanisms that our brain can build when trying to protect us from some future expected pain.
I honestly don't know what I did. It was months and months and months. I do remember at one point thinking, okay, I'm just gonna go to Ireland. So I rented a car. I was driving around Ireland, lost, I have no idea where I am, and it felt good. It felt good to just disappear. It felt really good to be away from all of that and just to, you know, just to be alive in this beautiful place. And I was driving down the road and I saw a hitchhiker and he had a Kurt Cobain t-shirt on. I mean, I was in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, okay, I'm going home and I need to do something.
In the book, Grohl covers that period following Kurt's death, speaking about how after some time of being incapable to face music, he was able to confront that resistance and book himself some studio time to track some songs. This was more than just a recording session to me, Grohl writes. It was deeply therapeutic, a continuation of life. This was what I needed to defibrillate my heart and return it to its normal rhythm, an electric pulse to restore my love and faith in music. Beyond just picking up an instrument and feeling productive or prolific, once again, I could see through the windshield rather than looking in the rearview mirror.
I needed some continuation of life. Yeah. And so I went home and decided, okay, I'm gonna take 13 or 14 of these songs that I've recorded by myself in my own little studio over the last like 4 or 5 years, and I'm gonna go record those.
As artists, when we're sitting in harder periods in our lives, or perhaps haven't picked up our creative practice for some time, it's natural for it to be tough to face that page or canvas again, because not only does it require some excess energy, but we're also probably aware that that practice may bring up and force us to engage with those tough issues that we may have been avoiding in some way.
I had a lot of trouble agreeing to get involved with this record just because there was so much still to figure out. The guys were like, this is your only way to successfully lift this off of you. How are you going to be all right if you don't do the thing that makes you all right? Some people, they're playing and making art to gain notoriety or make dough or there's so many different reasons, and all those are fine with me. You know, for me, I just want it to be real. That means it has to be vulnerable and honest. I need to believe it's true, and I need to love it. And so I think in some of that hard times and difficult living and the sort of hallelujah that comes from surviving that stuff, that's the work. Writing directly about that is totally necessary.
In my previous video, I spoke about how aspects of the creative condition can be seen to lead to a higher sensitivity to the world or potential suffering.
So many of the artists I work with suffer. So many artists suffer because that's part of what makes an artist great, is their level of sensitivity, that the same thing that makes an artist uncomfortable, other people don't feel at all.
On the other side of that, we can see how the creative practice can be a vital tool for us because it can allow us to express ourselves, try to understand the situation that we're going through, and also just open up some positive space where we can live alongside whatever those challenges are.
It's that same hypersensitivity that makes you a great artist. You know, it's like
my therapist said the same thing.
It's the truth. It's the truth. It's a balance.
Yeah.
It's harder to be in the world, but that's the gift.
By remembering that, we can actually hold quite a lot of gratitude, blessed with that toolkit that's going to help us when life throws its inevitable suffering our way.
It was difficult to listen to music. So that, and then I realized, like, oh wait, there's healing in music. That's, maybe that's what's going to make me feel better.
It's times like these, learn to live again. It's times like these, you give and give.
Engaging with that creative practice can be a kind of systematic way to look at the nature of what's going on in our lives and turn away from the willful blindness that can be a major part of human behavior. I can definitely recognize these ideas as something that line up with my own writing process. And in the last week, I've been doing some journaling and writing to try and bring myself back into some positive practices that I've had in my life in the past. Something I've found useful in this is just how that practice of putting our thoughts on the page makes them external to us and allows them to be viewed with some fresh perspective. But that's me and just one person's experience. And I really am interested to hear how you understand this in your own work. How has your creative practice helped you as a form of therapy or place to process your thoughts in those harder times? And how perhaps have those harder experiences in life informed your creative work or created your desire to engage in that practice in the first place? With that invitation to share your own thoughts or stories if you feel comfortable, thanks for watching as usual, and peace and good luck in whatever creative projects you're going to be working on until next time.
It makes sense, so do I believe? Is it me or is it you? I know the truth. You say you won't and I get so relieved.